Crown Court ran from 1972 to 1984 for close to 900 episodes. It let British viewers see an accurate depiction of UK courts and the legal system. It brought to life a diverse array of cases and had a unique blend of drama and realism. Join Facts First UK to learn about the craziest moments from ITV's Crown Court episodes. A Man with Everything. This episode featured the great Geoffrey Palmer, who at the time was known for his comic roles in shows such as The Fall and Rise of Reginald Perrin, and of course as Dr. Price in The Kipper and the Corpse episode of Fawlty Towers. But in this episode of Crown Court, he took on a very serious and dark role. He played a respectable businessman who could lose everything, including his reputation. His character, Kenneth Eden, is accused of indecent assault on a minor. The episode is naturally dark, and the intrigue keeps you on the edge of your seat. Kenneth Eden is interrogated about this rather dark and serious charge. But some of the most tense scenes are when young Barbara, the teenage girl, is questioned. The female barrister who cross-examines her shows no mercy. The scenes are difficult to watch, but that's what makes the episode more intriguing. This is one episode that keeps you guessing until the very end. Honor Thy Father and Thy Mother. This is perhaps one of the darkest episodes in the entire series, and it was extremely controversial for the time. Even today, it would be difficult to make such an episode. In this episode, a teenage girl has stabbed her father, who managed to survive the attack. The court is investigating why this happened and whether the attack was in self-defense or not, and whether the young lady should be punished or not. Her parents passionately defend her actions and don't want her to be punished. Her father especially expresses his love for his daughter and doesn't want her to be convicted of a crime. But as the case goes on, a sudden twist comes up. We learn that the love between father and daughter isn't a normal one. We learn that the father is attracted to his youngest daughter and has indecent relations with her. We also learn that he had these same relations with the eldest daughter, now an adult and away at university. It's one of the most shocking episodes of the show and showed how an upright Christian family had many dark secrets of their own. Treason. Could you be charged with treason in the UK if you're not a British subject? This is the subject of this episode, in which a Belgian national is accused of committing treason during his time in a former UK colony. He is charged with heinous crimes akin to those of crimes against humanity. He has racist attitudes and seems to harbor a lot of anger and resentment within him. He's an unsympathetic character, but the question throughout the episode remains on whether he can be charged with treason. This is a mysterious episode that keeps you stuck in suspense until the end. Despite having the minimalist setting of a courtroom, the suspense is on par with any fast-paced thriller. No doubt this was a hard case for the jury to decide. The tone of this episode changes at the very end. We won't spoil it, but we'll just say that the acting by the judge, Mr. Justice Mowbray, played by John Horsley, is easily one of the greatest performances on UK television ever. Each episode of Crown Court ends with the rather light-hearted theme over the end credits. For this episode, there's no music at all. The silence is deafening. Forever. This episode features the second appearance by Patricia Routledge in the series. If you're familiar with her work, you know she specializes in playing warm and often hilarious characters, such as Hyacinth in Keeping Up Appearances and Hetty Wainthrope. In this episode, she plays perhaps her darkest role. She plays a house mistress in a care home who is accused of having illicit relations with a teenage boy. This is a similar theme to the two other episodes we mentioned, A Man with Everything and Honor Thy Father and Thy Mother. But in this episode, it seems like Patricia Routledge's character, Rita Finch, does not seem to have any desire to hide her love for this young boy. It seems he shares the feelings. This is an uncomfortable but otherwise riveting episode to watch. It was also highly controversial for the time and even today. Few depictions on female predators are shown in British cinema or on television, and this is one of the best explorations of this phenomenon. In this episode, Rita Finch is often depicted as a sympathetic character, and the prosecutor has a hard time making a case against her. Lola. Same-sex relations were decriminalized in the UK in the late 60s, and the 70s saw films and TV try to explore these themes further. The episode Lola features a transgender woman, Lola, who is accused of assaulting a police officer. Because of the song Lola by the Kinks, the name Lola has become synonymous with men who wanted to live as women. The charges of assaulting a police officer are extremely serious, but what is more intense about this episode is the public's reaction to a transgender person. In one sequence, Lola requests to change outfits. She is then seen wearing women's clothing, and while this might not be unusual today, it was very shocking for a British audience at the time. In fact, even as you're paying attention to the facts to decide whether Lola is innocent or guilty, you're more focused on the drama and social attitudes towards Lola. This is one of the most provocative episodes of the show. The mugging of Arthur Simmons. Crown Court was one of the first major programs to give opportunities to non-white actors and tell stories of racial minorities and immigrants in the UK. Many episodes also addressed issues like racism in Britain. The mugging of Arthur Simmons tells the story of an elderly white man, Mr. Arthur Simmons, who was mugged in a dark alleyway one night. 2 black British men are accused of the crime, though the evidence isn't clear. Part of the accusations towards these men reflect the attitudes towards different races in Britain at the time. It seems that some of the accusations aren't grounded in truth, but rather in bigotry. But the 2 defendants aren't necessarily innocent characters themselves. It leaves you questioning who mugged Arthur Simmons until the end. Evil influence. This is another controversial and provocative episode that showed the clash between the conservative values of yesterday's Britain and the increasing liberal values of today's. In this episode, a doctor prescribes birth control pills to a teenage girl without taking her mother's consent. Once her conservative mother finds out, she then starts a petition challenging this doctor. She states the doctor is an evil influence on the town. The doctor then decides to sue the mother for libel. Libel laws in the UK are quite liberal, and this is a unique peek into such a case. But it's also a case that can make viewers uncomfortable. Depending on your own values, you may find yourself siding with either the mother or the doctor. But the case is to figure out whether being referred to as an evil influence is sufficient grounds for libel. It's another classic from Crown Court. The doctor seems perhaps normal in many parts of Britain in the modern era. But once again, we must remember how different things were in the 1970s. This episode is another clash between the old and new values of Britain, and the characters are morally ambiguous, making it one of the most interesting episodes from the show. Are you a fan of Crown Court? This show remains one of the best legal dramas and courtroom drama programs in the UK, and there really hasn't been another show like it since. So now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Britain today is lacking intelligent shows like Crown Court, or are there still many great intelligent programs that just get overshadowed by the plethora of shows we have today? Let us know in the comments section below.